Your fish is staring at you right now. And the wild thing is, it actually knows who you are. Not just big creature equals food. We're talking genuine individual recognition, face recognition, the kind scientists once said only mammals could do. And once you understand what's actually happening inside that little brain behind the glass, you will never look at your aquarium the same way again. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what your fish thinks when you walk into the room, why the way you approach the tank might be terrifying them, and what simple changes can literally grow their brain. Stay with me, because number 4 genuinely surprised me. Most aquarium owners assume their fish live in a kind of permanent fog, a beautiful scaly blur of instinct and reflex. No thoughts, no feelings, no awareness of the person who feeds them every single morning. And honestly, that assumption is doing your fish a quiet disservice, because the science tells a completely different story. Studies on fish cognition have exploded in the last decade, and what researchers keep finding is that the fish in your living room are running a surprisingly sophisticated mental model of their world, including you. They track time. They read your body language. They catch each other's emotions. And yes, some of them can pick your face out of a crowd. Let's start with that face recognition study, because it is genuinely one of the most jaw-dropping findings in recent animal psychology. Archerfish, those remarkable little hunters that spit water at insects, were trained to recognize individual human faces on a screen. Researchers then presented them with dozens of different faces and asked them, in the way you test fish, to identify the familiar one. The result? Around 80% accuracy. Even when scientists stripped out color cues, removing one of the most obvious visual shortcuts, the fish still got it right the majority of the time. Now think about what that means for your aquarium. Your fish isn't just responding to a large shape appearing near the tank. It is responding to you specifically. Studies synthesizing recent aquarium research confirm that many common pet fish recognize their owner, become more active when that particular person appears, and react with noticeably more caution to unfamiliar faces. Your fish has a face file for you. It has built a mental representation of who you are, and it uses that representation every single time you walk into the room. The practical takeaway here is quietly beautiful. That moment when your fish rushes to the front of the glass the second you appear, that isn't random hunger behavior. That is recognition. That is your fish seeing you. Here is something that will change how you walk toward your tank forever. When you approach the aquarium quickly, head on, and lean suddenly over the glass, your fish's brain processes that as a predator attack, not metaphorically, literally. Fish have what researchers call looming sensitive neurons, specialized visual cells that fire when something grows rapidly in size in their visual field. That's the exact signature of a predator diving toward them from above. The escape circuits activate. The body floods with stress hormones. Your fish bolts. A study on wild cichlids added another layer to this. Researchers found that fish attacked divers significantly more when the diver stared directly at them, especially near their offspring, compared to when the diver simply looked away. Direct eye contact, it turns out, is processed as a stronger threat signal, the hard stare of a predator, the focused gaze before the strike. So, what does this mean for you? Sliding slowly into the fish's field of view from the side, rather than charging straight at the glass, is the difference between being the friendly giant and being the shark. Looking slightly past or above your fish, rather than locking eyes with them, makes your presence feel measurably less threatening from their perspective. These are tiny adjustments, but to your fish, they are enormous. This next one sounds almost too strange to be true, but the research is solid. Zebrafish watching videos of anxious, bottom-hugging companions started behaving anxiously themselves. No physical contact, no chemical signals, just visual observation. Scientists call this emotional contagion, and it works through visual cues alone. Your fish can catch fear by watching it. What makes this even more interesting is that emotional contagion is stronger between fish who know each other. Co-housed zebrafish, fish who have lived together for a long time, spread stress more readily than strangers. Your established community tank is essentially an emotional amplifier. Whatever mood gets introduced into the group, it spreads faster and deeper because of familiarity. Here is the sobering implication. One rough, frantic netting session, even if it only directly affects one fish, can make the entire tank associate human hands with panic. Every fish that watched from the other side of the glass just got a lesson. And the lesson was, when the human reaches in, something terrible happens. The oxytocin-like systems in zebrafish brains regulate this social fear contagion, using evolutionarily conserved chemistry, the same basic molecular machinery that underlies empathic responses in mammals. Your fish's brain is not so different from yours in this regard. It is wired to read the emotional state of others and respond. Now, here is the one that genuinely surprised me when I first read it. Fish raised in barren, empty tanks develop smaller brains than fish raised in complex, enriched environments. Not just behaviorally different, structurally different. The brain itself grows more or less, depending on how interesting and layered the fish's world is. Preference tests back this up. Zebrafish consistently choose enriched areas over bare glass. They spend more time around plants, shelters, and even flat photographs of gravel rather than empty space. Siamese fighting fish in small, undecorated jars show more abnormal hovering and pacing behaviors, while those in larger furnished tanks display more natural exploring and resting. Life in a jar genuinely looks like low-grade chronic distress in the behavioral data. And here is the nuance that matters. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Lightweight fake plants, a simple PVC pipe for shelter, a printed gravel image on the tank floor. These are enough to create the kind of environmental complexity that drives brain development and reduces anxiety. The fish doesn't need the ocean. It needs a world that has layers, hiding spots, and things to interact with. You are, in a very real sense, an architect of your fish's cognitive life. Your fish has a mental clock, and you are on the schedule. Time-place learning experiments with cichlids and angelfish found that fish can learn that food appears in different tank locations at different times of day. They keep this internal schedule even when food is occasionally withheld. They are not just hungry, they are anticipating. Running a mental timetable of events with you as one of the scheduled entries. Episodic-like memory research in zebrafish shows they can remember what object they encountered, where it appeared, and what context it was in. Multi-detail memories. So, when you appear at the tank at 8 in the morning, your fish isn't just reacting to a stimulus, it is accessing a memory. This person, this time, this location, this outcome. Food, safety, or stress, depending on your history together. Cognitive bias research adds a fascinating personality dimension here. Zebrafish vary from genuinely optimistic to genuinely pessimistic individuals. Optimistic fish make bolder, more exploratory decisions. Pessimistic fish are more cautious and threat-focused, and environmental stability shapes which direction a fish leans. Fish exposed to constant, unpredictable changes in their tank, rearranged decorations, irregular feeding, erratic human behavior, showed more pessimistic, anxious decision-making. Fish in stable, predictable environments showed more optimistic responses. The practical translation is elegant in its simplicity. A fixed feeding routine is more than convenience. It becomes part of your fish's internal timetable, a predictable, low-stress anchor in their day. Leaving the tank layout mostly stable, making only small and gradual changes, probably feels profoundly safer to your fish than frequent dramatic redecorations. Consistency, from your fish's perspective, is a form of kindness. So, let's bring all of this together, because the picture it paints is remarkable. Your fish knows your face. It reads your approach as either threat or safety, based on your speed and gaze. It catches the emotional states of its tank mates and amplifies them through shared history. Its brain literally grows or shrinks based on the richness of the world you build for it, and it runs a mental calendar that includes you, your timing, and your patterns. What your fish thinks about when you approach the glass is not nothing. It is a layered, experience-shaped assessment. Is this my person or a stranger? Is this approach safe or threatening? Is this the feeding time I've been anticipating? Has anything in my world changed in a way that signals danger? The fish in your aquarium is not a decoration. It is not a living screensaver. It is a small, surprisingly sophisticated mind that has built a model of you. And that model is shaped entirely by how you show up. Walk in slowly. Look slightly past them rather than locking eyes. Keep the feeding schedule consistent. Give them plants and hiding spots and layers to explore. Net gently, and if you must disturb the tank, do it calmly. These aren't just husbandry tips. They are the language your fish actually understands. If this video changed how you see the animal behind that glass, do me a favor and hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about their fish the way you do. And if you want to keep going deeper into animal psychology, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We're exploring some genuinely surprising research on how animals experience time, and the findings are going to stick with you. Drop a comment below. Does your fish recognize you? Tell me what it does when you walk into the room.